Hey, good to see
Okay.
you. Welcome, John Donovan, Dan
Hey,
Gutierrez.
Hey,
Wow. It
Marty
looks like we're
Keller.
in the same spot.
Look at that. Welcome to the Intentional Living podcast. My Our good friend John Donovan, who's started all this, our good friend Dan Gutierrez, who's been part of this for many years, and my good friend myself, also colleague and student of these two gentlemen. And for those of you who are here for the first time, this Intentional Living podcast looks at how to change behaviors that seem unchangeable, how to deal with behaviors that feel compulsive, that seem that we have no conscious control over. These behaviors can be activities that our mind says to us, don't do that, and we do it, or vice versa. It can be a behavior that we say we ought to do, like do your taxes, and your body goes, no, I'm not going to do that. So, um, as we were discussing in last week's conversation, a lot of research helps illuminate why this is, and the intentional living process that John developed helps us to change that, helps us use that very mechanism that got us in a sense or a feeling of being stuck in these difficult behaviors or these unwelcome behaviors can now become a mechanism for helping us create something new. And Dan was sharing with us the research of Lisa Feldman Barrett. And just before we
Physiology.
were turning on the record button, Dan, you were talking about and suggesting people watch some of her YouTube stuff. You want to continue that thought?
Yeah. I support everybody to. I think her name is Lisa Feldman Barrett.
That's
I
it.
think so. Yeah. For some reason those three names I always mix them up.
Right.
But she dismantles um a lot of old thinking that we have a triune brain, which is we have a lizard brain, then we have a mammalian brain, and then we have this neocortex. And one of them controls the other. And if I make a bad decision, you know, it's my lizard brain it's making me do this, or my mammalian brain is supposed to have uh, um, it's out of my control. I'm being controlled by these uh, these parts of my brain, and then my neocortex is supposed to uh, look over these and then make decisions that are morally sound and all these and these old beliefs. That's not the way it is.
No.
Um, that's a morality tale, literally. It's a morality tale. She describes it as your lizard brain is you're on a two-man chariot or a two-horse chariot. You have your lizard brain as your instincts, and then you have your mammalian brain, which is your limbic system, and then the guy driving the chariot is the neocortex. And it's just like if you make a bad decision, it's because you're morally corrupt. Hence, hence the stigma about people who have addiction.
Hmm.
So she's uh I don't know. I don't want to say I'm enraptured by her information. Um, and I'm just now discovering that she's not the only one who is putting forth this new information.
Right. She has debunked the traditional knowledge that doctors, scientists, psychiatrists have had about the brain and how it works. That it's layered.
Absolutely.
No, it works as one thing, as a predictor for our safety. And it uses all the old information, all our experiences that we had up until this moment. It peruses the whole thing and then predicts what's going to happen. And then we go into that prediction ready for what that prediction has said we need to be ready for: a fight, flight, freeze, please, uh, conflict, or oh, sweet,
Right.
loving nothings. It predicts. And then when we get there and something's different in her evaluation, it's an opportunity to learn and grow the total experience so that we have another thing that can be predicted instead of what we predicted. We have we have more choice about what we're predicting, and it's so much in alignment with intentional living and how to heal the subconscious. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I think it's really essential for particularly for the newcomer listening to this, to appreciate that the mind cannot not do this. This is not
Right.
voluntary. This is built
No.
into the system. We're
Yep.
doing it. We're doing it right now as we're sitting here speaking with each other. In fact, I forget the book we read, Dan, a few years ago, but some of the earlier brain stuff that we were interested in, and we learned in that book that even when we walk, the brain is already setting up the next step, so that when we move the foot, the brain has already mapped out that step. It's not
Right.
happening independently. It's all mapped out and projected into that future.
Yeah, I got this. I was listening to. I bought her book. She has two books. And I tell this story all the time because it's about how your brain works, what you should see, what you should hear, what you should feel, and what you should think about what just happened or what's going to happen. My
Mm-hmm.
experience was I was walking through the house and I stubbed my toe on the wall. As soon as that happened, I yelled, "Ouch!" I jumped up and grabbed my toe, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, this is going to hurt. All before the pain got there, before I registered that it hurt. And I'm
Yeah.
going, oh my God, if I hadn't had this information prior, I would have expected this is normal. But the fact that I listened to it and I understood what she said, and then when it happened, I go, I've had other experiences. I ride a motorcycle and I've crashed a few times. And I remember while it's happening, I'm going, I watched what happens. The front tire went out, and I go, oh my God, this is gonna hurt. Wham! Before it happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
In a
and my
split second,
body,
millisecond.
I mean, it happened so fast that you cannot, yeah, you cannot distinguish it from the experience unless you have this knowledge prior hand. It's
Yep.
designed so you don't see it.
Right.
There's another explanation is
All right.
a major league pitcher and a major league batter. It is it is it is impossible. The human beings do not react quick enough to have a human being uh, see the ball thrown, react to it, and hit the ball. But after enough predictions, enough times having that ball thrown at you, your brain predicts where it's going to be. So you start swinging before it gets there because you can't physically swing the bat if you were to just react after this
You got
change.
this. Yep.
So your brain predicts that fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we take that as normal. So our brain's a great predicting machine. Given a certain task, when you first learned how to drive, it was very difficult. There was thousands of things that you thought you had to remember and consider and look for. And as you master that skill, now you don't do these things with effort because there's a program in your brain called driving. And when you drive, it gets engaged.
Yep.
So you can do other things other than drive.
Yep.
It's all predictive. So what I'm offering, what I'm relating, it's not my concept. But if I want to change my life, have the life that I want, I need to have the experiences that support the life that I want to have. And through the use of the accountability tree and setting the intention for the life that I want, what is it I want that I don't have? I am seeding, I am seeding my future, which in turn becomes my present, which in turn becomes my past. and it's a feedback loop. To me, I have an electronics background, and God, it's been so long. I'm going to probably screw this up, but it's called an operational amplifier, and it works on feedback. And the feedback it gets, it adjusts the outcome, the electronic output of that circuit to stay at a certain level because it's been designed. But it comes from the feedback. It's like a thermometer. It's a thermostat on your wall.
Yep.
You set it, and then when it goes above or below, depending on what setting you have it on, it turns the air conditioner on or it turns the heater on to maintain that level.
Yep.
Okay. Your brain is doing the same thing.
Same thing.
What the metaphor is, I have now become the thermostat. I decide what temperature, what experience I want to have, and let it run.
Right. And see, my problem before my recovery and before my understanding of the subconscious trauma, unhealed trauma, I would predict the same outcome, do the same behavior over and over and over, and not be able to learn. If there was something different there, I wasn't able to learn because I was already in a reaction mode as if it happened the way I remember it happened.
Yes.
So I lose the opportunity in the moment to get any new information. That's why the reticular activating system filters out any non-essential information that is contrary to my belief of what's going to happen. If she asks me a question, that means I'm weak. So every time either she starts to ask me a question, I stop it, do something else. If she gets the question out, I go to a place where I don't have to answer it because if I answer the question, my belief is I'm weak, I'm the subservient one, and I got to stay the top dog guy. So I don't answer the question, and I keep finding myself in these patterns over and over and over. Now, we talked about how we're going to heal this. And right when we left, you said own the results. And I'm going to go through what I mean by own the results. So if she asked me a question and my result was I either avoided or distracted or changed the subject or started screaming and yelling, I would own that behavior because that's the behavior that my mind predicted would keep me safe. So I go, how would you say somebody who screams and yells at a simple question? I'm mean or arrogant. Okay, I'm both. I'm mean and arrogant. I just say the truth of where I find myself. That validates the old information that said that would be a good idea. And I feel that validation of, I want to say, childhood trauma, where I was being yelled at and I had no recourse, or somebody asked me a question like, why did you spill the milk? It's like, there's no good answer to that question. Why I spilled the milk? Actually, I didn't. It happened to me. So I feel that in the emotion part of this, tell the truth, which validates the old information that got me stuck in screaming, yelling, avoiding the question. And then I say, what do I want to change that to? I intend to listen. I intend to be gracious. I intend to be kind. That intent with this experience of I didn't die, I didn't become that weak thing I thought I was, goes back into my subconscious, which is now the pool of information that the predictive mind is using. And I predict a bigger outcome. There are more options, more things can happen. And slowly, surely, I simply am able to answer the question. And the question I'm thinking about is I come home late. Where the hell have you been? And I go into my antics and my violence and I don't want to answer that question. Who do you think you're talking to? I go, oh, I'm arrogant. I'm mean. I intend to be kind. Oh, there's an intention to be kind in here. I come home late again. Where the hell have you been? And I go, oh, I'm glad you asked. I see you're worried about me. I see you're concerned with me. I see the whole thing differently. and I answer the question. I was talking to Daniel and we got into, all this stuff and I forgot about the time and sorry, next time I'll call. This is amazing. It's just owning the results, finding that truth to take to experience it, to allow myself to feel what's happening. Experiences are feeling tones in the situation and the vibration of which now becomes a memory. I didn't die. In fact, somehow I answered the question and she goes, "Oh, next time, let me know and I'll have dinner for you." It's like, holy cow, how did that happen? Oh, I didn't react. I own my reaction. Took it up here, address the information that my brain's been drawn on to get to me the results I'm weak, to go, oh, maybe, actually, this is what I've been looking for, to be in a loving, caring, nurturing relationship with somebody who is concerned about me. Oh, I see you're worried. Hmm. And then make another choice, like, oh, next time I'll call. Sorry, I see that caused you stress. It's that same thing that was the pattern for me to avoid is something
Well,
that's what I
that's
wanted all the time.
well, that's the reframing part. You
Yes.
know, when you got where is it at that? Five constants. Okay, move towards your pain.
Yeah.
Okay, after doing that a while, my perception has changed from pain. It says move for me in my head. I've translated it into move toward my healing.
Yeah. Oh, good. I like that.
Right. But in
Yeah.
the beginning, I have to understand, when I say the word pain, everybody understands what that is.
Yeah.
But after doing it enough times, the new experiences, having been an addict, I try to avoid my pain.
Yep.
So now when people go, well, don't you ever have any wants or desires to go back to using? And the answer is no. I have a new experience that I will survive my pain, and actually I will heal and grow from it. So I don't.
Yes.
There's no. I move toward it. I mean, I just had the experience of having to deal with my father and his situation, where I've become responsible for him. He's 90 some years old, and I was sitting there dreading dreading going down there. I'm having all this scenarios running through my head. My brain is predicting the outcomes of what it's doing, and I find
Yeah.
my body all jacked up
Yep.
because this thinks I'm going to go down there and fight a 900-pound gorilla.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh my God. And then this information comes in, and it's just like, okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what's happening based on where I find myself and my life experiences. This is what my brain is predicting is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, take a deep breath. There's nothing wrong. What kind of experience do you want to have?
Yes.
And it's like, I want to be calm, compassionate, and firm.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I don't know how many times I had to tell myself on the way down there, I'm getting closer. I got half an hour there. It's like it's D-Day. I'm
Yeah.
gonna storm the beaches of France here. I got to go face my dad, who's 92 years old, feeble, and I walk in there, and there none of it was true.
None, zero.
And it was just like, oh my God, I made all this up, and not in a negative way. My brain is doing what it's supposed to do. It's trying to prepare me for what I think is coming.
Yep. Yep.
And what happened in that moment, my brain has learned that that's not necessarily true.
I
Now
want
I had a good experience. I stayed in my power. I didn't give it up to anybody.
to, okay. And I want to explain the why of that because Daniel,
Okay.
you have done this process over and over and over. You have reinformed reframed, that subconscious belief, perception of what's going to happen to them, that the brain uses to predict the dire outcome, the catastrophe, and you have more in there that you can choose from, like,
Yes.
oh, calm, compassionate, firm, because you created the intent in your owning your, I don't know about yours, but my raging person. I intend to be kind, compassionate, and assertive. Oh, it's in here. Now it's an option. The other thing might happen, like he blows up and says no and starts like gets his cane and walks out the room and I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna leave my, but it didn't happen
Right.
because you had an experience in there
I
of
learned.
owning. You learned through this process right here.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now I want to keep reinforcing this. It's not just a mental experience.
No.
It's a embodied in the body experience. What I'm discovering is I start to think about my experience as strictly a mental thing.
Yep.
It's not,
No.
and it's never been.
Never has.
So now I can understand why I feel the way I do.
Yes.
And it's not because there's something wrong with me, and it's not
No.
because I don't have enough skill, I don't have enough experience. What it is I don't have different experiences. All I have is the old, so my brain just has to choose from that.
Yep. It's all Scott. Can't choose from
I,
something it doesn't have.
and I remembered an experience today of when I was trying to go to school.
Yep.
And I'm sitting in that classroom knowing in my mind, I tell myself that I don't know how to do something. And I'm literally standing, my body believes it's standing in front of a firing squad. It's going to die if I stay
Yep.
there. I
Yep.
had to literally get up, walk out to my car, and I tried throwing up. I had dry heaves.
Yep.
Turned around and walked back in there and sat back down.
Yep.
And I'm going, my God, why isn't nobody else having this fucking experience? Because they don't have my past.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with me.
No.
I
No,
was
then.
never taught how to do this.
Right.
Everything I'm struggling with is because I haven't been taught how to do it. I'm not stupid. I'm not incapable. I have a great capacity. I'm
Yes.
smart. I'm intelligent, and I can learn.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay, what is it do I want to learn? Becomes the question. How do I change my life by having new experiences? I intend to be kind, loving, and nurturing. I intend to feel safe in loving arms. And I can't tell you how many times that intention has come up when the situation gets somebody wants to hug me and it's just like, okay, we want to have a good experience. We want to feel safe. All right, do it. Oh, okay. Wow, I'm not dying. Okay, it's not what I thought it was. Great.
I'm glad you used that experience. In part of my pre-recovery, I was touch avoidant, and I didn't understand why. And that's that hug, Oh, and through this recovery process and understanding the trauma that I went through, spankings, torment in my infancy and toddler, and of course I was touch avoidant because touch meant harm, especially from that person that said they loved you the most. It was extremely terrifying, and I didn't know this. I didn't know this was all subconscious, and I had to explain myself in real time in a rational way, which there's none. There's no explanation for that other than I'm defective or they're really out to get me. They're gaslighting me. And none of that was happening. but that's the only thing I could predict. Now that I've gone through and owned my avoidance, I'm touch avoidant, nice deep breath. I intend to be gracious and loving and touch sensitive. Then something goes, I want to, yeah, I want to hug. It feels good. But before, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I mean, I look back now through a life of stuff, and everything I've ever done in my life started out with a desire to do it. And from what would, no matter what it was, throwing a baseball, playing football, speaking two languages, writing two different languages, getting good at history, identifying aircraft silhouettes, all started with a desire to do it. Everything I've done in my life is a learning process.
Yep.
And what I realized today after having the accountability practice, intentional living, is that I now have the capacity to choose what I want to learn based on the results in my life. If I'm not, whatever shows up,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to learn to be in an intimate relationship because I can't be or I haven't been, right? No blame, no judgment. Take a deep breath. I intend to feel safe in loving arms.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay,
I'm
all
going to
right.
steal that one from you,
Okay,
by the way.
so, all right, what do I want? I intend to be safe. I intend to embrace intimacy. I intend to um, enjoy physical contact.
Mm-hmm.
I intend to be present in my intimate relationships. I intend to feel comfortable with my intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I intend to learn what intimacy is. Nobody taught me any of this as a child. I don't. Not that program wasn't offered. It wasn't part of the curriculum. Don't trust your emotions. They lie to you. People don't trust people. They're always going to hurt you. People will always abandon you. I mean,
I want to I want to use in the therapeutic community, drug and alcohol therapeutic community. There's 4 clinical goals for the client that's addicted or in a loop or struggling with, and they're emotional regulation, frustration tolerance, impulse control, and delayed gratification. And if I wasn't nurtured and mirrored that process, given that foundation as a child, I have not that resource available to me, emotional regulation. So what I do is avoid. I go into the results column. I became codependent, addicted, or use some kind of strategy to avoid being with myself because I couldn't regulate my emotions. I couldn't do frustration tolerance. Any frustration, slight frustration came, I'd scream, yell, throw. Now in this process of owning the results, blame free, judgment free, I'm mean to the point of cruelty, I intend to be kind. I've learned emotional regulation, frustration tolerance, impulse control, and delayed gratification, which means
absolutely.
I can stay in a room where something's happening and I can predict a different outcome. It's
I will.
available to me. Oh my
Yep.
God, this is
I feel. I mean, it's just like when I watch that video and I go, oh my God, this is intentional living. This is accountability tree. That's what I've been doing is creating the opportunity to have a new experience through the use of the accountability tree and setting the intentions for what it is that I want. I'm telling the universe, uh, you know, my
yep,
my my system, everything that's designed. I am consciously choosing what it is I want to learn.
yep,
I'm become accountable. I've become accountable for my life.
yep.
I didn't. I didn't create the default setting that I call my childhood.
Nope.
But now as an adult, I become responsible for I wasn't responsible for creating the world that created my mind. But
Right.
now I'm responsible for my world through the use of changing how I think, my desires and wants. And it's
Right.
just like, holy shit.
In the adult show of alcoholics, it says, we become our own loving parent. How do we do that? Through saying the truth of where we find ourselves. I just knocked over the milk. Nice deep breath. Blame free, judgment free. I intend to be aware. I intend to be observant, whatever it is. Now I can learn in those moments before where I was experiencing my life going through spilt the milk. I was, depending on my age, physically coordinated, not coordinated, whatever. And instead of being nurtured through that, I was punished and abused and or ostracized for that. Instead of that being a learning moment for me, it became the block. So I will not. I'm confined. I'm reactive. Okay, so I'm good. This is good stuff.
Yeah, and it's time to wrap up. So it's important, I think, for the newcomer to really appreciate what John just said, that this is summarizing all the information that you've shared with us, Dan, for the last two podcasts, is there is a natural physiological, neurological process by which we either learn or we fail to learn. And when we fail to learn, we repeat the experiences that we've already learned. We've learned previously. They just become a template. And that goes a long way to explaining these behaviors that we find ourselves stuck in, compelled to do, even though our conscious minds say, I don't want to do that. And so, what I'd like to invite everybody to consider is coming to one of our meetings where we actually work on these one-on-one with people, because it takes a bit of support, it takes a bit of facilitation, it takes a bit of insight from others to help us see our own stuff, because this mechanism that we've been talking about for the past two podcasts is going to get in the way until we find a way to do that accountability tree practice that John walked us through
Yeah.
on the board that he shared with us. So, Dan and John and I, along with our colleague Rodney, we facilitate weekly meetings. They're all on Zoom. And if you'd like to join us, the information on how to do that, what the days and times are, and the Zoom room addresses will all be at the end of the podcast. So please feel free to come and join us, ask questions, decide or check out the process that we talked about here, that John and I and Dan have all been using for ourselves for many, many years, and creating the results that we've been sharing with all of us today. So before we wrap up, last minute thoughts from, how about first from our guest, Dan?
Um, I'm whole, perfect, and complete, and there's nothing wrong.
Well, now that's a good one for you, John.
I appreciate you, Dan. Thank you for coming on, sharing that information. There's more information out there. There's more people working on this, and to bring some kind of clarity to demystify these used to baffle me, now makes sense. And in the making sense, I can learn to give myself an experience that's different. And now my mind has always been working the way it always has, is predicting, where before it was predicting gaslighting, is predicting, oh, connection and bonding. And the same situation, same situation. But I have this, in the accountability bracket thing, there's power choice. I have expanded my capacity for choice based on knowing that my choices come out of my subconscious, my past experience. Very good. I'm
Thanks.
excited.
Thanks, John. And thanks, Dan, for coming on and sharing this information with us. And we will talk about this
Sure.
more in podcasts to come. So thank you. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Nice seeing you
Okay.
both.
Thank you.